Here's what the other part of metabolic health that happens during those perimenopausal years that I actually don't think it gets discussed enough is our inability for our brain to use glucose. And I had Lisa Mosconi on this podcast, and we talked about this. And I said to her, so as we go through the menopausal process, is our brain more sensitive to ketones than glucose? Now, she's a scientist, and so she's only going to give you the scientific answer. And she said, well, we don't have any science on that, but it does appear that we are not using glucose. We are more sensitive and receptive to ketones. Yeah. So I'm curious, from your clinical experience and just knowing that you're a hormonal lifestyle expert, do you feel like that's accurate? Like, we need to lean a little more into ketones as a great fuel source for our brains as we go through this process?
Yes, and 2017, Dr. Mosconi wrote that article, published her paper on glucose and women going through the perimenopausal transition. So that's how I found her, was back then. I thought, I don't know who this woman is, but I need to become her best friend and follow everything she does. And sure enough, of course, she's amazing and I adore her, and she's doing all this women's brain research. But when our estradiol goes down, one of the factors is it slows down the transport of glucose up into our brain effectively. So normally we have these transporters, they're called GLUT, so G-L-U-T, glucose transporter. Think of it like a bus. And so when we don't have the estrogen to stimulate this, the estradiol, our buses slow down. They don't really do what they're supposed to do. And now we can't get glucose up there to give us this, to do the cycles that help make ATP, which of course is our energy between cells. And that's why we feel powered down. And Dr. Casey Means described it as running by candlelight as opposed to running by full spectrum light. And I thought, yeah, when you're trying to remember something beautiful. Or you're trying to multitask or think of somebody's name, it's like candlelight up there. And I want full spectrum light up there. And I started looking into ketones, and it's proposed heavily, yes, that the estradiol effect of glucose may not be as heavy as effect on the ketones. And so leaning into the ketones is going to save us and save our brains, possibly. But anecdotally, it's what I see. When I do it myself, when I'm doing the long fast and getting my ketones up there, I can notice, I'm like, well, there it is. I'm an N of 1. I see it in your comment section, right? So I'm like, there's an N of 52,000. So let's roll with this.
Which is really interesting, and why I really want to highlight this, because I feel like we've gone from a cultural hush around menopause to cultural chaos. Like everybody's like, right? Everybody's like, do this, don't do that, do this. And I'm like, oh God, these poor menopausal women are like, who do I follow? Who do I know? And one of the things that is coming out a lot, it just came out on Huberman, is that menopausal women shouldn't fast. And
I said that.
See and I anecdotally see it completely opposite of that, along with the research. So I actually brought Stacy Sims on this podcast because I'm like, let's all come together as hormone experts. We need to all come together and have really deeper discussions about this. And what she was saying is that fit women shouldn't fast before they work out.
She said the same to me.
Yes.
Okay.
But what gets sliced in a 90-second reel, my new thing is don't base your health habits off a 90-second reel. What gets sliced in that 90-second reel that this just came out last week from Huberman was women shouldn't fast. And I just really like it. I feel like if that message gets out there, more and more and more women are going to stay suffering. Yeah. So what you're saying is totally lines up with what I see as well. Like when you teach a menopausal woman how to fast, you give her her brain back.
Yes.
And
even in a perimenopausal woman like myself, I still cycle, as I said, and I do 24-hour fasts in the follicular phase and feel great. Now, like anyone listening or anyone who's gone through your programs, you have to build into it. If you've never done a fast before, do Mindy's programs, buy her book. Don't just decide one day, you know what, I'm going to do 24-hour fast, see how it goes. You may hate it, and then it may ruin it for you, and I don't want to ruin it for you. I want this to be a very positive experience for you. But I do notice One, the more I do the 24-hour fast and the follicular phase, and I just keep it basic, follicular phase. It works in my schedule when I do it. And the more I do it, I'm like, oh, my brain is so, by the end, as I'm getting in 24, now I'm like, all right, I need to go longer because I can definitely tell my brain is feeling so good with all the ketones.
It just comes, just comes back online, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, now I can think straight. On the days that I work the longest, I don't eat on those days because now the way I approach the fasting cycle is different because I don't have a cycle. So I'll just kind of do it based off of where I need the ketones and where I don't, so that I'm sort of still have a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Which leads me to a bigger question that I had, which is, how can we help women see where they're going? Like, I feel like perimenopause is a bus stop.
Yeah.
And we need to approach it as maybe there's a long wait. Like, you might be waiting a really long, it's going to get a little cold. You're going to need a jacket. Like, the bus might not be coming for a whole long time. Yes. But you might get a little hungry in it. You're going to get pissed at the other people sitting at the bus stop. But then one day the bus is going to come and it's going to pick you up. And where you're going is an incredible place. And when we look at the research of like Lisa Mosconi, and I'm geeking out right now on the grandmother hypothesis of like how the amygdala stops shouting at you that you're not safe. It calms down. There's this beautiful place this menopausal bus is taking us. Do you have a sense of what that beautiful place is, and how can we start to get out to women? Don't worry, honey. Like, hang in there, girl. Yeah. Like, it's you're going somewhere good.
I posted recently on Instagram things that I say now that I'm in perimenopause, and it was like, no, thank you, F that, I'm not doing that. It was very sort of no filter things with a few other, how old are they now? How old are your kids now? How am I so old? Mixed in. And it kind of went viral. I had so many women go, yes, finally, I feel like I'm this stronger, better, next level version of myself. I don't have my anxiety. Maybe it was worse in perimenopause. It's so much better now. I'm confident. I cut through the BS. I know who I am or where I'm going. And I love seeing that. I love just by a post of things that are coming out of my mouth now. And the esteem in which I hold myself is resonating with women also who are going, yep, I too am there. And I'm also a doctor of and, meaning I will see out there people go, oh, you just need to lean into it. You just need to lean in it. And I'm like, yeah, and we can acknowledge it sucks. Like, we can acknowledge
we should.
The truth, which is you may have a lot of mood stuff, the weight gain, you can't sleep, you may not be thrilled with your hair or your skin, hot flashes, night sweats, bone pain, vaginal pain, all the things. And you're about to become this whole new, very cool person. And I think what's missing in the and is that education. You said like we're now in menopausal chaos. I mean, it's definitely a movement of, gosh, there's so much we can do. And there's so many options, just nobody knew were available unless you and me, we went into a lot of debt to get the degree. And that's not fair. Right. And now it's coming out there. So yes, it can feel miserable at this bus stop, and the lights of the bus are coming, and it is going to be awesome. There's going to be tweaks you have to make. There's a lot of stuff we can do, and it's going to be awesome.
I'm putting my next book together, and you're hearing a lot of what's going to go in it because I really feel like we need to start talking now about where you're going. Yeah. Like it's getting good. Like don't lose sight of how good this potentially could be. But I also feel like we have literally gone from this place where we've had no answers for women to having too many answers, and it's becoming difficult. Yeah. So if a woman is 45 and like listening to this podcast, what do you do with all the information that's coming at us right now? How do you decide if it's right for you? Because you and I are both huge fans of N of One. We are both like personalized individual medicine. But how do you take this moment where all this information is coming and figure out the right path for you?
Think of it how you, if you have children, think of it how you would approach the health of your child, or think of it how you would approach new food at a new restaurant. Try it on for size. If you don't like it or it doesn't feel right, let it go. So I mentioned sprinting earlier. I said, are you going to mention sprinting? So Stacy Sims said, we need to start doing sprinting or on the row machine and doing cycles of really fast. And I thought, I hate running. But okay, Stacy said to sprint, so I'll go fucking sprint and see what happens. And I felt great. And I'm only going to sprint once or twice a week. I don't think my hips can handle much more than that. But I felt amazing. And I thought, well, I did it. I just tried it on. And if I hated it or I was telling a girlfriend of mine who's 50 about it. She said, oh my gosh, I could never. My Achilles, my hips, my this, my that. I'm like, yeah, see, you tried it on and you hated it. Don't do it. And I think that it's the same with anything. When I did my first 24-hour fast, I just kept thinking it's a mind game. It's a mind, you can go 24 hours. You're not dying of starvation. It's okay. And now that I've done it several times, I'm like, I love this. This is great. I feel so good on the days that I do this, or even longer fasts. And so I think it's like anything. And if it doesn't fit in your budget, do what fits in your budget. You're going to hear a lot online about this supplement or that supplement or every woman needs. Yeah. And I'm like, maybe. But if it doesn't fit in your budget, then do what does work. It's okay.
My prayer for women is that we fix the lifestyle first. And we go into go into your 40s with a different lifestyle. Yeah. If I could take all the women that were 39, 38, even between 35 and 40, and I could sit them all down, I'd be like, okay, here's the deal. Everything that you've done is about to completely not work. And it'll go away in small different ways, but let's fix your lifestyle first. Then from there, we can look at the creams, the patches. I too am not anti all of that. I am only anti it when we think it's going to be the savior, just like we look at all other medications. So then we go, okay, well, let's try that and see how that works. And then there needs to be part of the story that I would like to start telling, which is, and look where you're going. And it looks like this. I don't know if you have this thing, but I now, my filter to be able to hold back what I really think about things has completely gone. And so
you didn't have much of one to begin with, so.
No, it's my brain is literally observing itself. I will sometimes look at myself and go, are you really going to say that? I'm like, yep.
There it goes.
I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
There it goes. There it goes. Out it goes. But it feels so freeing. Yes. And I was recently told about a feminist philosopher, and my listeners have been hearing me talk about this, but I want to geek out on this with you, about how they have discovered that women lose their voice at 12 and 13. Mm-hmm. And the reason they lose their voice, well, they don't say why. I think it's hormonal. And I'm sure you would say the same thing. But at 12 and 13 is when girls decide to quiet themselves, change who they are, do what they need to meet the demands of the patriarch. And I think what happens is in the postmenopausal years, when those hormones go away, actually the most authentic version of you now comes out. And for many of us, we didn't have the possibility to speak our truth. Mm-hmm. And we're now I'm going to speak my truth and I don't fucking care what anybody thinks of it, but it's really a coming home to yourself. Yeah. And if we look at our reproductive years as almost, we sort of lose our way, but we've have a lot of life experience, and now we come in our postmenopausal years, that is where you deserve to be the happiest version of you, because your hormones won't block you from living a life that actually you were meant to live.
Yes. Amen. Hear to that, for sure.